In the shadows of modern Japan, an ancient war still rages. Long ago, a race of demons known as the Oni slaughtered humans without mercy. No one could stand against them, until a hero named Momotaro rose to challenge their reign of terror. He struck at the heart of their fortress, igniting a conflict that has been passed down through generations. Today, the descendants of Momotaro continue to hunt the descendants of the Oni. And for one average high school delinquent, this bloody fairy tale is about to become his terrifying reality. Meet Shiki, a teenager whose hobbies include collecting firearms and getting expelled from school. On the phone with a friend, he laughs about his recent expulsion, glad he doesn't have to see the ugly faces of his classmates anymore. His adoptive father, Tsuyoshi, who runs a struggling wine shop, is less than amused. He smacks Shiki on the head, demanding to know why he was kicked out. The two clash instantly. Shiki tells his dad to leave him alone, and Tsuyoshi calls him an ungrateful bastard. When Tsuyoshi questions the arsenal of guns in his room, Shiki mocks his failing business. The argument escalates until Shiki delivers a low blow. "I'll never be a loser like you. I'm just glad we're not related by blood." The words hit the old man hard, but a business call pulls him away for a delivery. Left alone, Shiki sighs, wishing he'd been adopted by a rich family. But as he tries to practice his aim, a massive explosion rocks the house. He runs outside into a dense, unnatural fog. Suddenly, a strange black mist shoots out, grabbing his leg and dragging him onto the street. As Shiki stumbles to his feet, a menacing old man dressed in white appears, ready to strike. But just as the attacker lunges, Tsuyoshi comes screeching, back in his delivery van, ramming the man at full speed. "Get in!" he screams at Shiki. As they speed away, Tsuyoshi frantically explains that their only option is to flee the country. Shiki, still in shock, can't believe his dad just ran a man over, but Tsuyoshi tells him he's not dead. We need to get as far away as possible. With time running out, he drops a bombshell. "Listen to me, Shiki. You are a descendant of the Oni, and that man who attacked you, he's a descendant of Momotaro." Shiki thinks it's a sick joke, but his father is dead serious. Their conversation is cut short as a blade made of black mist slices through the car's roof. Their attacker has already caught up. The windows are instantly covered by the same black mist, blinding them completely. Tsuyoshi swerves to a stop near an abandoned warehouse and orders Shiki to hide. The moment they step out, their car explodes. When the smoke clears, Shiki is gone. Tsuyoshi spots a trail of black mist leading into the warehouse and realizes his son has been captured. Inside, Shiki is trapped in a giant web of mist. The attacker, introducing himself as Samidari, tells him that the Oni blood in his veins makes him a pest, and his job at the Momotaro agency is extermination. Just then, Tsuyoshi appears. "The fairy tale is real," he says, explaining how the Momotaro descendants formed an agency to gain the upper hand, forcing the remaining Oni to hide among humans. He turns to Shiki and says, "Let Daddy handle this." In a stunning twist, Tsuyoshi unleashes the exact same black mist ability as Samidare, forming a sword to meet his opponents. The two men clash, their blades releasing a powerful shockwave. As Tsuyoshi pushes him back, Samidare sneers, "You've gotten weaker." He then reveals the final shocking truth. The black mist is an ability exclusive to the descendants of Momotaro, and Tsuyoshi was once his senior at the agency. Shiki is floored. His dad is a Momotaro, the sworn enemy of the Oni. "I've forgotten all about that," Tsuyoshi says coldly. Samidare declares that for the crime of sheltering an Oni, Tsuyoshi will also be eliminated. Without another word, Tsuyoshi charges, a father ready to fight his own kind to protect the demonic son he raised as his own. The battle had reached its peak. Both fighters were equal in strength, their their blows shaking the ground around them. Shiki could only watch in shock as his father, Tsuyoshi, clashed with the merciless warrior Samidare. Samidare glared at Tsuyoshi and demanded to know why he was protecting a creature like Shiki, an Oni, born with the blood of demons destined for destruction. But Tsuyoshi roared back, telling him to shut up. Without hesitation, he charged in, determined to strike a decisive blow. However, Samidare's speed was beyond anything he expected. With terrifying ease, Samidare dodged the attack, countered with a flurry of lightning-fast strikes, and sent Tsuyoshi crashing to the ground, bleeding and unconscious, Shiki's heart shattered. Seeing his father collapse before him, rage consumed him. Through gritted teeth, he screamed that he would kill Samidare for what he had done, but the old warrior only laughed. He coldly told Shiki that he would soon join his father in the afterlife. Just as he raised his blade to finish it, Tsuyoshi suddenly grabbed Samidare's leg. With his last strength, he said he didn't need a reason to protect his son. Shiki had harmed no one. His bloodline did not make him a monster. It was wrong to kill him simply because he carried Oni blood. Samidare sneered, forming a weapon of black mist to strike the final blow. But in that instant, something inside Shiki snapped. His rage boiled over, his eyes turned crimson, and demonic horns sprouted from his head. For the first time, Shiki's Oni powers awakened. His body shook violently as blood poured from every pore on his face. Through the pain, he roared that he would kill the man who hurt his father. The webs that bound him shattered, and in the next moment, weapons made of hardened blood appeared at his side, guns floating in the air. With a furious barrage, he unleashed a storm of bullets. Samidare barely managed to block the shots, but Shiki was already gone, vanishing into the shadows like a demon of vengeance. From above, drops of blood dripped down as Shiki hung upside. Down from the rooftop, glaring like a deranged hunter, Samidare realized the truth. Shiki had fully awakened. Not only could he shape blood into weapons, but he also carried the terrifying regenerative power of an Oni. The clash resumed. Shiki lunged forward with incredible strength, pushing Samidare back with each strike. But Samidare was still the more experienced fighter. He cut off Shiki's arm in a swift motion. To his horror, the boy instantly grew it back. With a mad scream, Shiki charged again, conjuring even more guns from his blood. The air filled with bullets, forcing Samidare to fight with all his might just to survive. And then, Shiki formed a missile of blood. He launched it directly at Samidare, who narrowly escaped the explosion. The battlefield was torn apart, smoke and fire engulfing everything. Samidare, exhausted and bleeding, tried to retaliate with a sword throw, but Shiki was faster. He struck back, knocking the old warrior to the ground and stepping on his face. Then, like an unhinged demon, he opened fire with a barrage equal to an entire army. Even then, Samidare somehow managed to crawl away, barely alive. But before he could regroup, Shiki suddenly collapsed. The blood weapons dissolved, and his demonic transformation faded. Confused and terrified, Shiki stared at his bloody hands, trembling at what he had become. Samidare smirked coldly. This was the first awakening of Oni blood. Chaotic, unstable, dangerous. With the last of his energy, he summoned a black mist blade, preparing to end Shiki once and for all. But at that moment, Tsuyoshi threw himself in front of the strike. The blade pierced his body instead. Samidare demanded to know why he would risk his life for a monster. But Tsuyoshi, with his fading breath, only thought of Shiki as the little boy he had raised. He said it wasn't a mistake to be a happy father, even if only for a short time. Civilians, drawn by the noise of the battle, gathered at the scene. Alarmed, Samidare turned into mist and retreated, leaving behind the broken father and son. Shiki panicked, trying to drag his father to safety, but Tsuyoshi stopped him. He knew his end had come. With his last words, he told Shiki he had kept the truth about his Oni blood hidden to protect him. Now, all he could ask was that Shiki grow strong, enough to defeat both humans and demons who sought to use or destroy him, and live free. But Shiki refused. Crying, he screamed at his father to stop talking about death. He wasn't ready to say goodbye. He tried to carry him outside, but Tsuyoshi simply smiled one last time, and passed away in his son's arms. Shiki's grief consumed him. He shook, his father's body sobbing uncontrollably, begging him to wake up. At that moment, a mysterious man arrived on roller skates. Without saying a word, he knocked Shiki unconscious with a single touch, then carried him away. As Shiki drifted into darkness, he dreamed of happier times, playing in the park under his father's watchful eyes. But those memories quickly twisted into nightmares, ending once again with his father's death. Shot of Shiki opening his eyes. He is disoriented but soon realizes he's gagged and tied to a chair in a large, empty hall. Behind him, a skater guy is doing one-armed handstand push-ups with his umbrella. He straightens up as soon as he sees Shiki is awake. The skater guy, a self-proclaimed edgelord, introduces himself as Nato, a fellow Oni. He manifests his horns. Shiki is too confused to pay attention. Nato tells him that he won't reveal their location, but that Shiki's father's body is stored safely elsewhere. He says he brought Shiki here for retrieval and evaluation. Nato suddenly skates over to a whiteboard, dragging it closer to Shiki. He flexes about how fast and efficient roller skates are. Nato begins explaining the Momotaro Agency. Nato, you've already seen one of them, a guy who can control black mist. The Momotaro Agency finds and hunts Oni. In response, we created our own agency to fight back. Nato says his job is to find newly awakened Oni like Shiki and bring them to a safe place. Nato, here I'll evaluate if you are worthy of joining the Oni Agency. Nato puts the whiteboard back and removes Shiki's gag to interview him. Shiki immediately starts yelling at him to let him go. Shiki, you better not have hurt my dad. I swear, I'll kill you. Nato deducts a point from Shiki's score, which is already 0. Nato, you're a moron. I already told you he was stored safely. Shiki, enraged, tells Nato he can't trust a shady edgelord like him. Nato expected this, and decides to deduct more points for every curse word and demand. Nato, cooperate if you want to pass this evaluation. Shiki doesn't care about the evaluation. He just wants to be free. He tries to calm down. Nato, stop giving me that creepy look. Shiki snaps. Nato decides to use a non-standard method for the evaluation since normal things don't work with nut jobs. He takes off his tie and, before Shiki can react, uses it to strangle him with full force. Shiki panics and struggles to breathe. Nato, a creature's true nature is revealed when it's close to death. That's what I want to see. Shiki tries to resist, with all his might, but can't escape the chokehold. Blood leaks from his eyes and nose. He loses consciousness. Nato looks disappointed. Suddenly, the blood Shiki lost awakens, turning into sharp spikes that attack Nato. He dodges them with ease. Then, a Gatling gun made of blood appears, pointed at his head. Behind it, Shiki is in a berserker state. He opens fire. Nato is unfazed. He protected himself by coating his umbrella in his own blood. Nato minus 100 points. You don't even know how to use your own blood. Let me show you how it's done. Nato lunges at the enraged Shiki. A few minutes later, Shiki regains consciousness defeated on the ground. He has no memory of what happened, but he looks at his blood-stained hands and panics. Shiki. I went out of control again. Nato calmly sits on top of him. Nato, it's natural. When an Oni goes into berserk mode, they lose their mind. Around them, the hall is a total mess from their fight. Shiki, don't lecture me when you're using your blood as a weapon, too. Nato makes his blood umbrella disappear. Nato, I never went berserk because I can actually control my power. This evaluation is over. You're disqualified. Shiki still doesn't understand anything, but he knows Nato is ridiculously strong. He swallows his pride and begs Nato to take him on as his underling so he can get stronger and avenge his father. Nato immediately refuses. Nato, someone like you, who doesn't use his brain while fighting, is always the first to die in a real battle. You're a useless disgrace. You can't control your brain or your power. Shiki uses every ounce of his strength to hold back his rage. Nato. Now it's time for me to dispose of you. A berserk Oni is a liability. He uses a special ring to cut his thumb, letting a stream of blood trickle out. He turns the blood into an umbrella. Shiki suddenly gets an idea. He runs away from Nato, then dashes toward him, dragging his fist on the ground until it bleeds. Nato quickly turns his umbrella into a spiky shield. Scene end. Thinking, this is it. He puts all his focus into the gun, firing a powerful shot. The recoil sends him flying backward. Shiki, excited. I did it! A direct hit. The blood bullet shatters as Nato simply blocks it with his finger. Nato, disappointed. You're going halfway into a berserker rage just to make an attack. That's pathetic. As Shiki seems to lose control again, Nato decides to finish him. He puts himself in a protective cage and summons archers made of his blood, ready to fire. But then he notices something. Shiki is fighting back against his berserker instincts. He's trying to regain control. Nato cancels his special move. Shiki, proud. I did it. I controlled it. He falls to the ground, exhausted. Nato, stunned. How the hell did you do that? Not everyone can suppress a berserker state. Shiki, smugly. Accept me as your underling and I'll tell you. Nato, sighs. I'll consider it. Shiki, to himself. He said, yes. Shiki struggles to his feet. Shiki, when you were talking about controlling your blood, I didn't get it. But then I saw you slice your thumb to make a weapon and I thought, hey, we're both Oni, I should just copy him. I just let my arm bleed and yelled at it in my head to form a weapon. Nato, skeptical. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's not how this works. Usually, calm and rational people like me have the best chance at controlling their power. Emotional teens like you have a hard time. You don't listen to reason. You don't even let your berserker mode control you. You just use your raw instinct to brute force your power into obeying. It's rough, but it can give you an explosive amount of power. Nato begins to wonder what to do with this unique case when Shiki speaks up. Shiki, I need power to avenge my dad and kill the man who murdered him. If you take me in and teach me, I'll be useful to you. Nato, refusing. I can't take you on as a lackey. People like you are a risk to society. You didn't even know you could control your power, you just took a gamble. Nato turns his umbrella into a spear and acts like he's going to stab Shiki, but hits the floor next to his head instead. Nato, I won't accept you as an underling. I'll accept you as a student. Shiki, confused. What's the difference? They're the same thing. Nato, you passed. The test, barely, but I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. We're on an island called Hell's Doorstep, which was known as Onigashima in the past. It's where the original Momotaro massacred demons, but now it's a safe place for Oni to live. At the center of the island is Resetsu Academy, a military school that trains us to fight against the Momotaro agency. Shiki, panicked. An island? Nato, poking Shiki's forehead. That's not what's important. The most important part is that Resetsu Academy will teach you everything. General education, controlling your Oni blood, fighting techniques, and the history between the Momotaro and Oni. And I'm your homeroom teacher. Nato goes on to explain more about the academy, but it's more than Shiki can handle. He just wants to know one thing. Shiki, will I get strong enough to avenge my dad? Nato, I can't guarantee anything, but if you can't get strong enough to fight the Momotaro agency, you'll be expelled soon enough. Shiki gets dressed up, excited, to go to a different kind of school. Nato, just so you know, other people passed the test this year, and you're probably the least skilled amongst them. Shiki suddenly remembers his dad. Shiki, my dad. Where is his body? Nato. We've kept him in the morgue. We wanted you to handle the funeral, as per his beliefs. Shiki gets a bit gloomy thinking about his father's death. Nato being a gloomy idiot is a waste of time. Focus only on becoming stronger so you can get your revenge. Shiki smiles. You know, you're not so bad after all. Nato is embarrassed and speeds away on his skates. Nato yelling over his shoulder. If you don't reach the class before me, you'll be expelled. Shiki somehow catches up to him. He wonders how to make a grand entrance into the class to get the maximum amount of aura, but Nato just kicks him through the door. Jin, his arms replaced by roaring chainsaws, cuts down a line of trees with a single strike. The sound is deafening. Nearby, Homer is searching for the boys. She hears the loud thud of the trees and her inferiority complex kicks in. She feels overwhelmed and unfit for this place. But then she remembers Shiki's words. Homer, muttering, He called me cute. She cheers up a bit and decides to look for him. She's unaware she's just a few feet away from the fight. Meanwhile, Shiki is fighting Jin with his bare fists. Jin doesn't even use his chainsaws and is still easily whooping his ass. Shiki, thinking, how does he control his powers so easily? Wait, his ability is different from mine. Shiki loses focus while trying to analyze Jin's power, and Jin knocks him down with a single punch. Shiki lies on the ground, frustrated. Jin starts to walk away, letting the loser cry in peace. Shiki, getting back up defiantly. The fight isn't over. Pissed off, Jin sends a chainsaw spinning toward him. Just then, Homer arrives thanks to her negative survival instincts. She walks right into the line of fire, oblivious. Shiki, panicked. Homer, Shiki manages to push her to safety, taking a small hit in the process. He quickly gets up off of her. Shiki, furious, apologized to her. Jin. It would have been her own fault if she died from my weak attack. Shiki, what did you say? Suddenly, Homer begins to chant in a trance. Homer, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Shiki tries to snap her out of it, but she's in a daze. Blood starts trickling from her nose, forming into a giant human figure. Shiki, to Jin. What in the world is that? Homer, faintly. Run! My female titan is going to kill you. The titan slams its fist into the ground, a powerful blow that Shiki barely dodges. Jin, on the other hand, leaps toward the monster, but his chainsaws can't do much damage to its huge body. Shiki, to Homer. Can't you stop that thing? Homer apologizes, unable to do anything, and collapses from blood loss. Shiki moves to get her to safety, but he's shocked to see the titan protecting her. Jin also notices. Jin, thinking, Homer's blood? Does it have a will of its own? The titan suddenly spits a volley of blood. Jin hides behind a rock, but Shiki takes the full force of the attack. Homer, sobbing. Stop it, big sister. Shiki, confused, gets to his feet. Homer pleads with him to run, but he refuses. Shiki, you'll die of blood loss if I don't help you. I'm not going to watch anyone else die in front of me ever again. The female titan lets out a powerful roar. The shockwave reaches Nato, who is watching from a treetop. He decides to let the boys try to deal with Homer's unique ability before he steps in. Shiki injures himself, trying to draw blood and make a weapon, but it doesn't work. The female titan scoops up rocks and hurls them at him. He takes a hit and gets flung away. He feels utterly pathetic and useless, and for the first time, he starts to cry. Jin comes out from behind the rock. Jin, if you're going to cry like a little kid, go home. Shiki, fuming. I'm just sweating from my eyes. Jin ignores him. He slices his own wounds open again, creating 2 different types of chainsaws. Though he's still bothered by the damage he took, he's determined to win. Nato, watching from afar, is impressed that Jin can create 2 different weapons simultaneously. Nato, narrating, blood can take any form they imagine, but it's often influenced by their past trauma, preferences, and experiences. Jin rushes the female titan, using a circular chainsaw to climb up her. He mimics Levi Ackerman's style, attacking her neck, but she sacrifices an arm to block him. Shiki screams at his hand, trying to get it to form a weapon. He wonders why he can't, when Jin can. Then he realizes something. Shiki, thinking. Jin only makes things for cutting, and Homer has a personal connection to her titan. I can make guns, because I like them more than anyone. He suddenly figures out how to control his power. On the other side of the battlefield, Jin is losing his balance. The female titan lets out a loud roar that bursts his eardrums. New found power, Shiki, shouting. My turn. Shiki points a powerful grenade launcher made of blood at the female titan. Nato is impressed that he figured out how to use his power so quickly. Shiki fires a grenade, which instantly blows the titan to pieces. Jin and Nato are stunned by the sheer power. The titan's blood fragments scatter, falling on them like rain. The rain quickly turns to a normal downpour. Jin realizes the attack didn't just kill the titan, it changed the weather. Jin, thinking. What kind of power is this? Shiki doesn't notice. He starts to walk toward Homer to check on her, but his vision blurs and he collapses. Nato appears beside. Nato. You just unleashed a ridiculous amount of blood. Your body has nothing left. Shiki, struggling. I can still go. He forces himself to stand but lasts less than 5 seconds before falling again. Nato shrugs. What a noob. He can't even control his own power. Nato then realizes Shiki's power is beyond anything he's ever seen. He warns him that using too much blood can be lethal. Shiki, weakly. Don't worry about me. Check on Homer first. She might have used a lot of blood too. Nato is surprised by Shiki's selflessness, but just as he's about to help, Jin launches a surprise attack. Nato's reflexes are quick enough to block it, pushing Jin back. Jin. No need to worry about the losers. Nato, disgusted. What if Homer dies because she can't get emergency treatment? Jin. That doesn't concern me. Nato's eyes narrow. Nato, I hate selfish bastards like you. Jin, ignoring him. Just confirm it. If I kill you, I can graduate, right? Nato scoffs. I promise. Jin dashes toward him, his blood chainsaw roaring. Nato blocks the attack with his umbrella, which he says is made from the same material as the Hulk's pants. He presses a button, releasing a smoke screen. Jin, thinking. A surprise attack? Pathetic. Jin is confident he can kill Nato the moment he steps into range, but then he's hit by a flurry of rubber bullets. He takes cover behind a tree as Nato fires from his multi-purpose umbrella. Nato, they won't kill you, but they'll hurt like hell. He purposefully targeted Jin's injured hand for maximum damage. Jin realizes Nato plans to keep a safe distance, assuming he can only fight up close. But Jin has a few secret tricks. He dashes out from behind the trees, dodging the bullets, and sends flying blades toward Nato. Nato easily dodges them, but is surprised that Jin has a counter for long-range fighters. Jin keeps attacking, then appears in midair behind Nato, thinking he can't defend now. But Nato just throws a bomb at him. Jin panics, but it's another harmless smoke bomb. Jin thinks Nato is going to shoot him again from a distance. He doesn't. Anticipate Nato coming from behind him and delivering a spine-crushing punch. Nato, lecturing. Never be too sure about your predictions in a battle. It makes you vulnerable to surprise attacks. Jin is too injured and exhausted to move, but he keeps trying. Nato inverts his umbrella and uses it as a cage to contain him. Nato asks him if he's so desperate to see his dad. Jin goes silent. Jin, confused. How did you know about that? Nato, I looked into your files. I know a few things about you, including the fact that your dad is a Momotaro. Shiki is shocked to hear they have similar backstories. Jin is consumed by hatred. Jin, furious. That bastard. He's a Momotaro. He killed my family and then did experiments on me, leaving scars all over my body. I swear, I'll kill him with my own hands, no matter what it takes. In a fit of rage, Jin gets a burst of power, uprooting the cage. But before he can do anything, Nato grabs his face and slams him into the ground. Nato scoffs, "Stupid brat. If you die while chasing your dream, you're an idiot who will never achieve it. A risky alliance, Nato live. Live for the sake of your dream, even if it means accepting defeat and humiliation." Jin finally stops moving. Nato calls the school. Nato, send the nurse. I have an injured student here. Homer has been retired from the test, blood loss. And Jin has also been. Contained, Nato turns to Shiki, who is still barely standing. He holds one of the balls in his hand. Nato, you've got about 6 minutes left. You can either try to take this from me, or you can find the remaining ball and get to the school. Shiki, that's not fair. Nato just grins and takes off, not answering. Shiki has no choice but to follow. Meanwhile, Jin is sitting silently, tied to a tree. Shiki pops out from the bushes. Shiki, I'll free you, but in exchange we have to work together. Jin looks shocked. Shiki explains that neither of them can beat Nato alone, but together they have a chance. Jin being rescued by an idiot would lower my pride. Shiki, ignoring the insult. Is your pride more important than your goals? You can't achieve anything just sitting here. Jin, why do you even care? Shiki, my dad was a Momotaro too. We're the same. Jin is stunned. Nato, meanwhile, is looking for Shiki but can't find him. He figures he must have returned to the school. Then he sees Shiki running, cursing Jin. Nato decides to corner him. Nato, landing in front of him. You're running out of time. Nato holds up the ball. Shiki curses Jin in his mind, not because he isn't helping, but because he wanted to be the one in charge even after being rescued. Just then, Jin drops from the sky, aiming for the ball. Nato easily dodges. It was a feint. Jin's real move is to throw a stone tied to a rope. It wraps around Nato, restraining him. Shiki catches the other end of the rope. Shiki, to Jin. Now! They pull with all their might, but Nato digs his heels into the ground. Jin then shoots a blood blade at Nato, forcing him to dodge and lose his balance. Shiki rushes in, hits the ball out of Nato's hands, and it lands near Jin. Nato thinks they'll fight over it, but to his surprise, Shiki tells Jin to take the ball and run. Shiki, go, Jin. Get to the school. Jin takes off running as Shiki cheers. Shiki turns to Nato with a triumphant look. Shiki, we got the ball. Nato, calmly. Only the person who takes the ball to the school passes. At this rate, that will just be Jin. Shiki freezes, his face pale. Nato realizes what a complete moron he is. He doesn't think about the consequences before acting. Shiki yells for Jin to come back, but he's too far away to hear. Jin is sure he can make it back in time, but then he remembers how Shiki helped him. He can't just abandon him. He turns around and runs back toward Shiki. Shiki, dumbfounded. Are you as directionally challenged as Zoro? Jin, yelling back. Shut up. I'm only doing this because I don't want to owe my success to an idiot. I'd rather fail and achieve my goal on my own terms. Take the ball and head to the academy. As they're about to make contact, a small pink creature with a radio on its back runs up and stops between them. Nato immediately pauses the test. Nato, stop. You two shouldn't be fighting when Muku, our high-speed courier, is here. Nato knows Muku is only dispatched for emergencies. He activates the radio, and a backup request from the Kyoto branch comes through. They're under attack by the Momotaro agency. Outside the test zone, the other students are waiting, thinking the trio failed because the time limit passed. But Nato returns with Shiki and Jin. Nato, the Kyoto branch is in serious danger and they've requested backup. We're heading there instead of finishing the test. The students immediately get on a boat, a mix of excitement and anxiety about being on a real battlefield. Nato reassures them. Nato, you won't be fighting. I just need you to support the actual fighters. They reach Kyoto and Nato leads them to a famous temple. The Oni agency base is located underneath it, with a normal-looking restaurant as a front. A creepy old woman welcomes them at the door. The Momotaro agency's true nature. The creepy old woman leads the students into the living room and reveals a secret underground staircase. XT. Oni battlefield, Daesub Kiri, a Momotaro captain, stands over the bodies of a unit of Oni. His chainsaw-like arms drip blood. Sub-Kiri maggots pretending to be soldiers. Yomogi sighs. You went overboard again, Captain. Now we have to clean up this mess. Sub-Kiri, I can't help it. Maggots just annoy me. I wish we could have faced some female Oni instead. They're more resilient and can tolerate more pain. A perfect choice for my experiments. Yomogi. Your experiments are disgusting. Especially that thing, a creature. A blend of a dog, monkey, and a pheasant. Walks toward them. Sub-Kiri, don't be cold to my favorite creation. Ugly. He's my most important research specimen, and a loyal member of our anti-Oni biological weapons army. Yomogi. Our job is to kill dangerous Oni and save civilians. You should contribute more to that instead of wasting your time on creepy research. Sub-Kiri Oni blood is a truly fascinating thing. If we can learn how to control it on our own, it would help the Momotaro agency tremendously. And if we can turn their healing factor into a medicine, we'll become richer than anyone in history. Yomogi, Momotaros have similar abilities too. Why not experiment on us? Sub-Kiri. It isn't wise to experiment on our own people. But Oni, they're just maggots. Why simply kill them when we can make use of them? A terrified Oni child hears this, hiding behind a rock. He holds his breath, but as he hears their footsteps fade, he lets out a sigh of relief. It's a fatal mistake. Sub-Kiri hears him. Sub-Kiri found one. He's coming to the lab with me. Yomogi. I'll knock him out so he doesn't cause any problems. As Yomogi prepares to subdue the boy, a drop of his blood falls on Sub-Kiri's coat. Yomogi knows this is bad news for the kid. Sub-Kiri starts kicking the child, his face contorted in anger. Sub-Kiri. Oni blood is a filthy thing. I won't tolerate it on my uniform. Are your parents nearby? Were they part of the unit I just killed? The child is too terrified to speak. Sub-Kiri lifts up the corpses of the Oni he just killed, holding them up to the child. Sub-Kiri. Are they here? The child is silent. Sub-Kiri proceeds to crush him with the corpses. Yomogi shudders. Her ability is to use the special bacteria in her blood to create weapons, but Sub-Kiri can use it to control corpses. It's a truly diabolical ability. Sub-Kiri, too ugly. Eat the Oni dumpling. We're going to find more maggots to kill. A frightening. Welcome. Meanwhile, Shiki and the other students are walking through a wide tunnel. Nato explains that some of the shops above have access to this tunnel, which leads to their base. Shiki. This is the headquarters. It's a restaurant. They soon reach a gate that opens to a space right below the Ruta temple, fashioned like a traditional Japanese house. The students are stunned. Nato, welcome to the Kyoto Division headquarters of the Oni Agency. A doctor walks out of a room, complaining about his workload, but his attitude changes the moment he sees Nato. He straightens up and greets him cheerfully. Yo, ya, Nato. It's so good to see you, old friend. He notices a female student and immediately starts fixing his hair. Yo-yay, to the student. Hey there, beautiful. She immediately turns him down. His heart doesn't break. He's used to rejection. Shiki, whispering to Nato. Who's this clown? Nato, ignoring him. Hey, this is Kyoya, the commander of the support unit here. We were classmates at the academy. Yo-yay. I could use your help, Nato. There's so much to do. Nato, impatient. I'm heading to the front lines. Shiki, to Nato. Take me with you. Other students agree, preferring to go with Nato than deal with the weird doctor. Nato ignores them. Nato, use these brats as you please. He leaves. Just then, a nurse emerges from the room. Nurse, to Kyoya. Get back in and do your work. The nurse notices the students. Nurse, you're from the academy, right? Get changed immediately. We need all the help we can get. The students quickly change into assistant nurse uniforms and enter a makeshift hospital. Dozens of injured Oni are crying out in pain. One has just been brought in, having lost both legs and suffering other life-threatening injuries. Shiki is horrified. Shiki, to the nurse. Will he be okay? Nurse, gravely. No, he won't. The true cost of war, the nurse grimly states that the injured Oni has at most 3 minutes left. Shiki snaps at Kyoya, who is smiling. Shiki, don't make fake promises. Don't you see he's dying? Kyoya chuckles. I appreciate your honesty, but I'm kind of a big deal here. Watch closely. Kyoya inserts multiple blood pipes into his body. Shiki is confused. Shiki, shouldn't we be giving that blood to the injured instead? Nurse, sternly. Just shut up and watch. Kyoya approaches the dying man. Kyoya, do you want your arms or your feet to regrow? I can't afford both right now. The man summons all his strength. Injured Oni. My arms, so I can hug my children again. Kyoya, smiling softly. You'll be able to, but this is going to hurt like hell. Kyoya slices his wrist and pours his blood into the man's mouth. The man screams in agony as his wounds begin to heal. The nurse tells the students to hold him down. They obey, and the nurse explains that Kyoya's blood boosts a normal Oni's healing ability by many times. Something begins to poke through the man's bandages. Shiki watches in horror as what looks like human fingers emerge. In an instant, the man's arms and severe burn wounds completely regenerate. Shiki rushes to Kyoya. Shiki, can you regenerate his legs too? Kyoya, wiping blood from his mouth. We can, but it needs to be over time and in small doses. He's already consumed too much. Any more, and he could develop antibodies. Kyoya turns to the man who is crying with relief. Hey, Kyoya. You'll be retired from the combat unit now, but you can join the support unit and help others. With a pair of prosthetics, you'll be playing with your kids in no time. The man breaks down into tears. Kyoya turns to the students. Yoi. One day, you could be in his place. I understand the glory of the front lines. But remember, the people on the front lines can only fight bravely because someone is covering their back. That's the support unit. Shiki and a few others are impressed and offer to help. Kyoya asks Shiki for a special favor. He takes him to a depressed girl named Mei, whose parents are missing. Kyoya wants Shiki to use his kindness to cheer her up. Shiki talks to her, and she slowly opens up to him. Just then, the support unit brings in dead bodies from the battlefield. Mei's parents are among them. She starts wailing, and Kyoya looks on with a pained expression. The devil's gambit. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Tsubakiri and Yomogi have finished off another group of Oni. Tsubakiri is disappointed. Tsubakiri. I was expecting someone strong. I'll have to deal with more nobodies. His wish is granted as Nato appears, immediately activating his ability. The remaining Oni cheer, but Tsubakiri is unharmed. He used the dead Oni captains as a meat shield. Tsubakiri, smiling like an old friend. Nato, old buddy. What are you doing in Kyoto? This isn't your area. I heard a rumor that the Oni are gathering at a place nearby. If I just wipe out that place, the problem will be solved. Nato, poker face. I have no idea what you're talking about. Tsubakiri. I'll give up if even you say it's not real. I guess I'll just go sightseeing around that big temple instead. Nato panics inside. He knows Tsubakiri's instincts are sharp. He gets ready for a serious fight. A sinister plan back at the headquarters, Mei is still crying. Kyoya watches, unable to get used to the painful scene. Unbeknownst to them, Tsubakiri is still talking to Nato on the battlefield. Tsubakiri, to Nato. I laced some of the Oni corpses with my bacteria, fully aware the support unit would take them to their base. I can control the corpses from a distance and destroy the base from the inside. Nato is shocked. Back at the base, as Shiki and Kyoya are distracted, Tsubakiri awakens Mei's father's corpse. Mei is overjoyed, thinking he's alive, but the corpse under Tsubakiri's command starts strangling her. Kyoya and Shiki are quick to notice the reanimated corpse. Kyoya immediately tells Shiki to cover Mei's eyes. He obeys, and Kyoya pierces the man's brain with 2 sharp knives, rendering him immobile. Mei starts crying once Shiki lets her see what happened. Kyoya realizes there might be more zombie puppets. It's too late. The puppets have started moving. Mei's mom gets up and attacks Shiki, strangling him. Before Kyoya can get his scalpels out, more zombies attack him from behind, restraining him. Shiki's oxygen supply is cut off and he begins to pass out. The same thing happens all over the headquarters. The zombies attack the supporters, who are easy targets because they aren't trained to fight. The zombies even break into the hospital room, attacking the patients and nursing staff. No one knows how to solve the problem. Back in the other room, Shiki somehow holds on to consciousness. Mei is crying and begging her mom to leave him alone. Shiki weakly tells her to get away, that it's not her mother anymore. Kyoya tries to help, but is knocked down by the zombies. Seeing that no one is coming to help, Shiki pulls a Glock from his ass. On the boat, Nato had given it to him, explaining that he wasn't skilled enough to control his blood yet and should use a weapon he was familiar with. Nato also told him the gun was loaded with Shiki's blood bullets and would hit much harder. Now is the time to use it. Shiki pulls Mei close so she doesn't have to see the bloodshed. He points the gun at the zombie woman's head and pulls the trigger, ending her. He catches his breath while Kyoya is still struggling. Shiki quickly recovers and shoots a hole in the head of each of the 3 remaining zombies before helping Kyoya get up. Kei-yo, ye-he, panting. The support unit isn't ready for this. You're in charge of cleaning this mess. I'll evacuate the patients. In the main hall, the rest of the students are fighting the zombies with their fists, unsure of how to take them down for good. They keep getting back up. Shiki and Kyoya arrive. Shiki. Aim for the brains. That's the only way to stop them. Shiki immediately starts firing headshots. Jin is the first to follow his lead. He slices open his stitches and performs some surgery on the zombies with his chainsaws. The others soon realize what to do. Kyoya commands the support staff to evacuate the patients while they fight. Shiki keeps firing, but he thinks that killing people who are already dead is the grossest thing he's ever done. He starts getting trauma as he realizes every zombie was once a person with family and friends. He feels like he'll cry at any moment. He wonders why they are hurting their own people when the enemy is the Momotaro Agency. The unbreakable barrier back on the battlefield, Nato is in a standoff with Tsubakiri. He decides to engage in close combat, but Tsubakiri uses 3 dead Oni as a meat shield. Nato is furious. He then notices the monster, Ugly, next to him, ready to strike. Nato dodges the devastating blow at the last moment, and Ugly smashes through the Oni corpses. Tsubakiri. You should be happy that the pests infecting this world are dead. Nato. No matter how strong you are, you can't win every battle as a loner. Tsubakiri chuckles. That's rich coming from you. Just then, the remaining Oni offer to support Nato. He tells them to evacuate, saying they'll only hold him back. Tsubakiri, pleased, commands his assistant Yomogi to do her job. She steps up, creating an impenetrable barrier around Nato and the other, Oni, Tsubakiri. You can't leave this barrier until Yomogi permits it. In the meantime, I'll take a stroll around the Oni headquarters. Nato's eyes widen as Tsubakiri reveals his plan. Tsubakiri, I planted transmitters on all the Oni corpses. They've all gathered right under the Ruda temple, so that must be the headquarters. Tsubakiri starts walking toward the temple. He commands Yomogi to send Ugly into the barrier. She gives the creature permission to enter. Nato gets ready to fight it. Tsubakiri, don't bother. This creature is mass-produced. It's perfectly fine, even if we sacrifice it. Tsubakiri snaps his fingers and Ugly's belly begins to swell. Nato realizes it's going to self-destruct and tells everyone to get down, but there's not enough space. The creature explodes, the blast shattering Yomogi's barrier and devastating the nearby buildings. Yomogi asks if they should double-check for Nato's body, but Tsubakiri tells her not to bother, not wanting to get his uniform dirty. It's a mistake. Nato is unconscious but has no major visible injuries. Shiki and the others have finally defeated the zombies. Kyoya has transported the patients to a safe location. He thinks their problems are over, but then he notices Mei, who is staring blankly at her parents' corpses. Shiki joins him and apologizes for shooting her mom. Mei, coldly. It's all right. Shiki is shocked by her response. Mei continues. Mei. I was always running and hiding. I had no friends and I never even went to school. I knew something like this would happen one day. Don't worry about me. She forces a fake smile and Shiki's heart shatters. He thinks of his own childhood and how he always admired the heroes in folk stories. Momotaro were the heroes and Oni were the villains. Shiki. Is this how the heroes of fairy tales work? He suddenly hugs Mei, his voice filled with a fierce new resolve. Shiki. Then I'll become a villain and crush all the heroes. I'll create a world where you can smile again. Mei doesn't know how to respond to that. Soon after, Kyoya takes Jin with him to the crematorium to burn the bodies. Jin is uninterested in his chattering, and the other students are dragging bodies when a nerd named Juji speaks up. Ikari. Stop slacking and help. Juji, I have a theory. Since we were attacked, this place might not be as safe as we thought. We could be attacked again. Juji's ability is suited for scouting. He cuts his thumb, letting his blood fall to the ground, creating a radar that can sense any living being within a 5-kilometer radius and even confirm if they're Momotaro. Ikari is impressed. Juji immediately spots hostile signals approaching the base. An unwelcome arrival. The signals belong to Tsubakiri and Yomogi, who have reached the shop that served as the secret passage. The old woman who guarded it is dead, and Yomogi has found the tunnel entrance. As she inspects it, Tsubakiri calls the Momotaro Agency. Tsubakiri, send several mass-produced uglies to my location, and a special-purpose ugly that I made myself. Also, get me a file on a high-risk Oni named Shiki. He gets the file. He tells Yomogi they can't use poison gas now because he wants Shiki alive. Yomogi is surprised. Tsubakiri says Shiki is special, and he can't miss the chance to experiment on him. 2 against 2. Meanwhile, Kyoya shows Jin the crematorium. Eikwaioye. Once a war with the Momotaro Agency begins, a lot of people end up dead. This is what you're stepping into. But don't worry, you can heal from almost anything. By the way, do you have a girlfriend? Jin ignores the weirdo and walks away. As Kyoya chases him, he senses someone behind him. He turns, just as he's stabbed by Tsubakiri, who was aiming for his back. Jin instinctively unleashes his blood chainsaws. But before he can do anything, Yomogi appears behind him, trapping his chainsaws in her black prison and cracking his arm. Jin cries out in pain. He realizes they're in the worst possible scenario. Both he and Kyoya are injured, and they know nothing about these enemies. But Kyoya is calm. Keikaogyo Yuye to Jin. Rush back and tell everyone about the enemy attack. I'll stall them. Jin follows the order, promising to bring backup. Kyoya turns his attention to the 2 enemies, Tsubakiri to Yomogi. Do your thing. Yomogi creates a gigantic, impenetrable barrier around the entire headquarters. The grotesque, ugly monster smashes through the restroom door, but Kuina is already in a fighting stance. She strikes a pose, smiling. Kuna. Don't worry, Rokuro. It'll all be over soon. She lunges at the ugly, a flurry of punches and kicks, but she doesn't just hit it. She makes sure to cut her own hands, splattering her blood all over its face and body. The monster freezes, its eyes glazing over, the will to fight completely gone. Kuina pulls her bloody hand back, caressing the monster's face. Yuina, my sweet, sweet puppet. Now sit. The ugly obediently sits down. Kyuna turns to Rikuro, who is peeking out of the closet. He looks at the monster, then at her, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. She smiles a truly unsettling smile. Kyuna, see, I told you I'd handle it. All you have to do is trust me. Now come on out. I'll get you that food I promised. Rokuro, trembling, steps out. He's completely in her thrall, his fear of being used as bait battling his deep-seated need for her to take care of him. Kyuna's power, it seems, isn't just about controlling her enemies. It's about controlling everyone around her. Meanwhile, Jin is running back through the headquarters. He follows the trail of blood and finds Kyoya collapsed on the ground, a deep gash on his neck. Jin, Kyoya! He rushes to his side. Kyoya is barely conscious, struggling to breathe. Jin, don't worry, I'll get you some blood. I'll get the nurse. Kyoya grabs his arm, his grip surprisingly strong. Kyo-yo, gasping. No time, Jin. Listen, I can't heal from this. It was a single, clean cut. Too much blood loss. But I have a final command for you. Jin's eyes are welling up. He has never seen this kind of injury before. Jin, what is it? Kyo-ye, shaking his head. They came for one person, Shiki, Subakiri. He needs Shiki alive. The coffin. It's for him. Jin the coffin? Why, Kyoya Subakiri is a mad scientist. He wants to experiment on him. Don't let them take him. If they do, he's as good as dead. Kyoya's grip loosens. Jin, desperate, tries to stem the bleeding with his hands, but it's no use. Kyoya whispers his final words, not to Jin, but to the air. Kyo-yo-ye, fading. Just stay close. Jin watches as Kyoya's body goes limp. He's alone. Grief and rage surge through him. He looks at his own hands, his blood still leaking from his sliced open wounds. He realizes the kind of fight they're in, and a new, more dangerous emotion takes hold. A cold, focused fury. In the garden, Shiki and Mei are hiding among the bushes. Juji, the nerdy student, is with them, his eyes closed in concentration as he uses his blood radar. Yuji, whispering. More of them are coming. They're heading for the main hall. 3 signals. No, 4, one of them. It's different. It feels old. Like it's been around for a long, long time. Shiki, to Mei, quietly. Stay right here. Don't move. He stands up, his fists clenched. Another student, Ikari, grabs his arm. Ikari, what are you doing? We have to stay hidden. Shiki, we can't hide forever. They'll find us, and they'll kill us. This isn't just a test anymore. These are real Momotaro agents, and they're killing our people. Ikari, but we're just kids. Shiki, a cold look in his eyes. Maybe that's what a hero would say. But I'm not a hero. I'm a villain. And a villain fights back. Just then, Jin runs up, out of breath and his arm dripping blood. Shiki, Jin, where's Kyoya? Jin looks at him, his face a mask of fury and grief. He doesn't say a word. He just points toward the main hall, his expression saying it all. Shiki's face hardens. They need a plan, and they need one now. Inside the main hall, Subakiri sits on the coffin, his feet propped up on a zombie corpse. He's growing impatient. Subkiri. Where is that high-risk Oni? He's supposed to be a leader. Leaders should come out and fight, not cower. Yomogi returns from her search. Yomogi. The area is clear, Captain. We can't find him. Subkiri. Then we'll force him out. The time for games is over. He stands up, walking over to the wooden box. He opens it with a flourish, revealing the special-purpose ugly inside. It's a much larger, more grotesque version of the others, with a long, segmented tail and a face that seems to have human features stitched onto it. Its eyes are a dead, milky white. Subakiri grins. Subkiri. This is a Class 7 ugly. It's not a courier, not a soldier, and not a bomb. It's a hunter, and it's going to find our high-risk specimen for us. And when it does, we'll make sure he can never run again.